The vast emptiness of space stretched out before the Earth's flagship, the ESS Horizon. Captain Jack Reynolds stood on the bridge, his weathered face reflecting years of service. He stared at the view screen, watching as the sleek ships of the Galactic Empire zipped past his own vessel with ease. "They're showing off again," muttered his first officer, Sarah Lynn. Jack nodded grimly. It had become a common sight in recent months. The Empire's ships, with their shimmering force fields and impossibly fast engines, made Earth's best technology look like toys. As if to drive the point home, an Imperial cruiser suddenly appeared right in front of the horizon. Its massive hull dwarfed the Earth ship, gleaming under the light of a nearby star. A communication request pinged on their console. "Put them through," Jack ordered, straightening his uniform. The smug face of an Imperial officer filled the screen. "Greetings, Earth vessel. Having a pleasant patrol." Jack forced a smile. "We're managing just fine, thank you." The Imperial officer's grin widened. "Oh, I'm sure you are. It's admirable how you Earthlings keep trying with your quaint little ships." He paused, looking over his shoulder at something off-screen. "Oh, my apologies. I'm needed elsewhere. Some actual important business to attend to. Enjoy your flight." The screen went dark, leaving Jack and his crew in stunned silence. Sarah clenched her fists. "One of these days, I swear I'll—" "Easy," Jack cautioned, though he shared her frustration. "We can't afford to provoke them. Not yet." Thousands of miles away, in a secret underground facility on Earth, General Elena Rodriguez paced back and forth. The room was filled with holographic displays showing the state of Earth's fleet, a pitiful collection of outdated ships barely holding together. "This can't go on," she growled, addressing the assembled world leaders on the screens around her. "Every day, the Empire makes a mockery of us. Our people are losing hope." The president of the United African Alliance leaned forward. "What do you propose, General? We've poured every resource we have into our fleet. It's simply not enough." Elena stopped pacing, her eyes blazing with determination. "Then we need to think differently. We can't match their technology, but maybe we don't have to. Humanity has always excelled at finding unconventional solutions." "You have something in mind?" asked the Chinese premier, raising an eyebrow. Elena nodded slowly. "I might. It's risky, possibly even crazy. But at this point, what do we have to lose?" As the leaders debated, far above the Earth's surface, the Imperial fleet continued its show of dominance. Massive battleships performed intricate maneuvers, their energy weapons painting dazzling light shows against the backdrop of stars. On one of these ships, Admiral Zax Loren watched Earth's pitiful attempts at space travel with a mixture of amusement and contempt. "Look at them," he chuckled to his subordinates. "Still using combustion engines and projectile weapons. It's like watching cavemen try to reach the moon." His second-in-command, a tall, insectoid alien named Kriva, chittered in agreement. "Perhaps we should offer them some assistance, Admiral. Out of pity, of course." Zax Loren's laughter boomed across the bridge. "Oh, that would be cruel, Kriva. Let them fumble about for a while longer. It's the most entertainment we've had in this sector for centuries." As the Imperial officers amused themselves at Earth's expense, they remained blissfully unaware of the spark of defiance growing on the blue planet below. In labs, hangars, and secret facilities around the globe, humans worked tirelessly, driven by a burning desire to prove the Empire wrong. In one such facility, a young engineer named Maya Patel stared at her computer screen, her eyes wide with excitement. "I think I've got it," she whispered, barely able to contain herself. "A way to use their own technology against them." Her colleague, Dr. Chen, leaned over her shoulder. His eyes widened as he scanned the data. "Maya, this is, if this works." "I know," she said, a fierce grin spreading across her face. "It's time to show the Empire what humanity is really capable of." As Earth's leaders argued and planned, as its engineers innovated and dreamed, the stage was being set for a confrontation that would shake the very foundations of the Galactic Empire. The underdogs of the cosmos were about to bare their teeth, and the universe would never be the same. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the bustling spaceport, staring up at the battered hull of the destroyer ship before her. The Defiant was old, really old. Its once sleek lines were now marred by dents and scorch marks, telling tales of battles long past. "She's seen better days, hasn't she?" a gruff voice said behind her. Sarah turned to face Admiral Rodrigo Cortez, the man who had called her here. "With all due respect, sir, why am I looking at a ship that belongs in a museum?" Cortez's weathered face broke into a grin. "Because, Captain Chen, this old girl might just be our secret weapon against the Empire." Sarah's eyebrows shot up. "Sir, follow me," Cortez said, leading her towards the ship's entrance. As they walked through the ship's corridors, Sarah noticed something odd. Despite its age, the ship hummed with energy. New systems had been grafted onto old ones, creating a strange hybrid of past and present. "We've been working on her in secret," Cortez explained, "using everything we've learned about Imperial tech, but applying it in ways they'd never expect." They reached the bridge, where a team of engineers was hard at work. Among them, Sarah recognized Maya Patel, the young prodigy who had made waves with her theories on Imperial technology. Maya looked up from her work, her eyes shining with excitement. "Captain Chen, I'm so glad you're here. Wait till you see what this baby can do." Over the next few hours, Sarah's skepticism turned to amazement as Maya and her team demonstrated the Defiant's capabilities. The old ship could now generate energy fields that mimicked Imperial shields, but with a twist, they could be modulated to absorb and redirect enemy fire. "And the best part," Maya said, practically bouncing with enthusiasm, "is that the Empire won't see it coming. To their sensors, this will look like just another obsolete Earth ship." Sarah felt a spark of hope ignite in her chest. For the first time in years, they had a chance. Admiral Cortez turned to her, his expression serious. "Captain Chen, I'm offering you command of the Defiant. Your mission will be to take the fight to the Empire, to show them that humanity is not to be underestimated." Sarah stood straighter, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. "I accept, sir. When do we leave?" "As soon as you can assemble a crew," Cortez replied. "Choose wisely, Sarah. The fate of Earth may well rest in your hands." Over the next few days, Sarah worked tirelessly to put together her team. She chose a mix of seasoned veterans and young, brilliant minds who could think outside the box. Her first officer, Lieutenant Commander Aiden Nakamura, was a tactical genius with a knack for unpredictable maneuvers. Chief Engineer Zoe O'Neill had almost supernatural ability to coax extra power out of any system. Dr. Emeka Okafor, their science officer, had a deep understanding of Imperial technology that would prove invaluable. As the crew assembled on the Defiance Bridge for the first time, Sarah looked at each of their faces. She saw determination, fear, hope, all the complex emotions that came with their daunting mission. "I won't lie to you," Sarah said, her voice carrying across the bridge. "What we're about to do is dangerous. The Empire outguns us, outclasses us in almost every way. But they've made one critical mistake." She paused, making eye contact with each crew member. "They've underestimated us. They think humans are primitive, weak. It's time we showed them how wrong they are." A cheer went up from the crew, their voices echoing through the old ship's halls. As the Defiant prepared for launch, news of their mission spread through Earth's fleet. Soldiers and civilians alike watched with bated breath as the old destroyer rose from its dock, its engines flaring to life. In the Imperial fleet, Admiral Zax Loren received a report of unusual activity from Earth. He glanced at it dismissively. "Probably another pathetic attempt at showing strength," he scoffed. "Let them play with their toys. It makes no difference to us." Little did he know, the toy now leaving Earth's orbit would soon change the course of the Galactic War. As the Defiant streaked into space, Captain Sarah Chen and her crew steeled themselves for the battles to come. The time had come for humanity to prove its worth among the stars. The Defiant cruised through the inky blackness of space, its engines humming quietly. On the bridge, Captain Sarah Chen sat in her command chair, her eyes fixed on the main view screen. They had been patrolling the outer edges of Earth's territory for 3 days, waiting for a chance to prove themselves. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka from her sensor station, "I'm picking up something strange." Sarah leaned forward. "What is it, Lieutenant?" Yuki's fingers flew over her console. It's an Imperial patrol ship, ma'am. But it's alone, separated from its fleet." A hush fell over the bridge. This was it. Their first real test. "Battle stations," Sarah ordered, her voice calm but firm. "Let's see what this old girl can do." As klaxons blared throughout the ship, Sarah turned to her tactical officer. "Lieutenant Commander Nakamura, what's our status?" Aiden Nakamura's hands danced across his console. "All systems ready, Captain. Our new shields are at full power, and weapons are hot." Sarah nodded. "Good. Now remember, people, we want to look weak and outdated until the last possible moment. Let them underestimate us." The Imperial ship soon came into view, a sleek, predatory vessel that dwarfed the Defiant. Its silver hull gleamed in the light of a distant star. A transmission crackled through their speakers. "Attention, Earth vessel. This is Captain Zox of the Imperial Patrol Ship Dominance. You are trespassing in Imperial space. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded." Sarah exchanged glances with her crew. This was not Imperial space. The Dominance had crossed into Earth's territory. But that was typical of the Empire's arrogance. "This is Captain Chen of the ESS Defiant," Sarah responded, injecting a note of nervousness into her voice. "There must be some mistake. Our charts show this as Earth territory." Captain Zox's laughter boomed through the speakers. "Oh, you poor, primitive creatures. Your territory is whatever we say it is. Now, power down or be destroyed." Sarah cut the transmission and turned to her crew. "All right, let's show them what we can do. Helm, bring us about. Tactical, prepare to engage on my mark." The Defiant swung around, presenting its weakest side to the Imperial ship. It was a risky move, but one that made them look vulnerable. On the Dominance, Captain Zox sneered at the seemingly clumsy maneuver. "Look at that outdated heap of junk. This won't even be a fight. Open fire." Brilliant beams of energy lanced out from the Imperial ship, streaking towards the Defiant. But at the last second, Sarah barked out, "Now." The Defiant's shields flickered to life, but not in the way the Imperials expected. Instead of deflecting the energy beams, they seemed to absorb them. The ship shuddered under the impact, but held firm. "Return fire," Sarah ordered. The Defiant's weapons came to life, but instead of conventional projectiles, they fired the absorbed energy right back at the Dominance. The Imperial ship's shields, unprepared for their own energy signature, faltered under the assault. On the Dominance's bridge, alarms blared as systems overloaded. "Impossible," Zox shouted. "How can that relic?" His words were cut off as another volley from the Defiant struck home. The Imperial ship's engines sputtered and died, leaving it drifting in space. Back on the Defiant, the bridge crew erupted in cheers. Sarah allowed herself a small smile before refocusing. "Damage report." "Minor damage to our outer hull, Captain," reported Chief Engineer O'Neill. "But our core systems are intact." The new shields worked perfectly. Sarah nodded. "Good work, everyone. Now let's make sure our Imperial friends can't call for help. Nakamura, disable their long-range communications. Tanaka, scan for any other Imperial ships in the area." As her crew carried out her orders, Sarah stared at the crippled Imperial ship on the view screen. It was a small victory, but an important one. For the first time, humanity had stood toe-to-toe with the Galactic Empire and won. "Captain," Nakamura called out, a note of worry in his voice. "I've managed to access some of the Dominance's data. It looks like they were advanced scouts for a larger force. An Imperial fleet is on its way here. Sarah's expression hardened. Their first battle was over, but the real war was just beginning. "Alert Earth Command," she ordered. Tell them the Defiant is bloody but unbroken. And we're ready for round 2. As the Defiant prepared for its next encounter, word of its victory began to spread. On Earth, in secret rebel bases, and even in some corners of the Empire itself, hope began to flicker. The age of human defiance had begun. Admiral Zax Loren stood aboard his flagship, the Imperium, his tentacles twitching with barely contained rage. The holographic display before him showed the impossible. The wreckage of the Imperial scout ship Dominance, destroyed by a single outdated Earth vessel. "How?" he growled, his voice low and dangerous. "How did those primitives manage this?" His second in command, Kriva, stepped forward cautiously. "The reports are confused, Admiral. The Earth ship appeared to use some form of energy absorption technology. Our weapons were turned against us." Zax Loren's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. They don't have that level of technology." He turned to face the rest of his command staff. "Find that Earth ship. I want it destroyed, and I want to know how they did this." As the Imperium and its fleet moved to intercept the Defiant, news of the battle spread like wildfire through Earth's forces. On the bridge of the ESS Horizon, Captain Jack Reynolds stared at the report in disbelief. "They did it," he whispered. "They actually did it." His first officer, Sarah Lynn, couldn't contain her excitement. "Sir, this changes everything. If one ship can do this much damage." Jack nodded, a smile spreading across his face. "Then imagine what our whole fleet could do. Contact Earth Command. Tell them we're joining the fight." All across Earth's territory, ships that had been hiding, running, and barely surviving now turned to face their pursuers. A spark of hope had been lit, and it was quickly becoming a blaze. Meanwhile, aboard the Defiant, Captain Sarah Chen and her crew were preparing for their next encounter. They knew the Empire wouldn't take this defeat lightly. "Status report," Sarah called out, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. Chief Engineer Zoe O'Neill's voice came through the intercom. "Engines are at peak efficiency, Captain. I've managed to squeeze a bit more power into our shields, but I don't know how they'll hold up against a full fleet." "They'll have to hold," Sarah replied. "Nakamura, what's our tactical situation?" Lieutenant Commander Aiden Nakamura studied his console. "Long-range sensors are picking up a large Imperial fleet heading our way. Estimated time to intercept, 2 hours." Sarah took a deep breath. "All right, people. We've shown them we can bite. Now we need to show them we can run. Plot a course through the Kepler Nebula. We'll use the gas clouds for cover." As the Defiant raced towards the nebula, Earth's other ships began to rally. The ESS Horizon led a group of 5 destroyers, moving to flank the Imperial fleet. From the opposite direction, a hastily assembled group of Earth freighters, converted into makeshift warships, approached under the command of the wily Captain Yuki Tanaka. Admiral Zax Loren watched these movements with growing frustration. What had been a simple operation to crush Earth's pathetic resistance was turning into a real battle. "They're coordinating," he muttered. "Actually coordinating. Since when did these monkeys learn strategy?" Kriva chittered nervously. "Admiral, perhaps we should call for reinforcements. If the humans have developed new weapons—" "No," Zax Loren snapped. "I will not give them the satisfaction. We will crush them here and now, with the forces we have." As the Imperial fleet entered the nebula, pursuing the Defiant, visibility dropped to almost zero. Energy discharges from the gas clouds played havoc with their sensors. Aboard the Defiant, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Now, Mr. Nakamura, spring the trap." The Defiant suddenly cut its engines, seeming to disappear from the Imperial sensors. As the confused Empire ships slowed to search for their quarry, Earth's fleet struck from both sides. The Horizon and its destroyers unleashed a barrage of torpedoes, their warheads modified with the same energy absorption technology as the Defiant. The Imperial ship's shields flickered and failed under the assault. From the other side, Captain Tanaka's freighters launched swarms of fighter drones, each equipped with a miniaturized version of the new shields. They darted between the massive Imperial ships, causing chaos and confusion. And in the heart of the nebula, the Defiant reappeared, its weapons fully charged with the ambient energy of the gas clouds. It struck at the Imperial flagship Imperium, its beams cutting through the once impenetrable shields. On the Imperium's bridge, Admiral Zax Loren watched in horror as his fleet fell into disarray. "This isn't possible," he muttered. "They're nothing but savages. How could they?" His words were cut off as another blast rocked the ship. For the first time in his long career, the Admiral felt something he had never expected to feel when facing humans: fear. As the battle raged on, news of Earth's sudden reversal of fortunes began to spread throughout the galaxy. In the halls of the Imperial Palace, in the smugglers' dens of distant space stations, in the rebel hideouts on 100 worlds, people began to whisper, "Have you heard? The humans are fighting back, and they're winning." The aftermath of the battle in the Kepler Nebula left both sides reeling. Earth's forces, though victorious, had suffered significant damage. The Defiant limped back to a hidden repair station, its hull scared but its crew's spirits high. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the Defiant's engine room, surveying the damage with Chief Engineer Zoe O'Neill. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, and the air smelled of burnt circuitry. "How bad is it, Zoe?" Sarah asked, her voice tinged with concern. Zoe wiped grease from her forehead, leaving a dark smudge. "It's not great, Captain, but it could be worse. Give me 48 hours, and I'll have us battle-ready again." Sarah nodded, a small smile on her face. "You never cease to amaze me, Chief. Do what you can. I have a feeling we'll be needed again soon." Meanwhile, in the heart of Imperial territory, the Galactic Empire was facing a crisis unlike any in its history. The Emperor himself, a being of immense power and even greater ego, had summoned his war council. The Emperor's voice boomed through the Grand Hall. "How is it possible that these humans have suddenly become a threat? I demand answers." Admiral Zax Loren, still nursing wounds from the battle, stepped forward. "Your Imperial Majesty, it appears the humans have developed technology that can absorb and redirect our energy weapons. Our traditional tactics are ineffective." The Emperor's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Then develop new tactics, Admiral. I will not have our supremacy questioned by a species that was throwing spears at each other mere centuries ago." As the Empire scrambled to adapt, Earth's leaders were formulating their next move. In a secret underground bunker, General Elena Rodriguez addressed a room full of military and scientific minds. "The Defiant's success has given us a fighting chance," Elena said, her voice firm. "But we can't rest on our laurels. The Empire will adapt, and we need to stay one step ahead." Dr. Maya Patel, the young genius behind the energy absorption technology, raised her hand. "I think I might have an idea about that, General." All eyes turned to Maya as she stepped up to a holographic display. "We've been focusing on defensive applications of our tech, but what if we could turn it offensive? Imagine a weapon that could drain the energy directly from an Imperial ship's core." The room buzzed with excitement and apprehension. Such a weapon could turn the tide of the war, but it could also make Earth a target for the full might of the Empire. Back on the Defiant, now partially repaired, Sarah Chen received new orders. Her ship was to escort Dr. Patel to a top-secret research facility on Europa, Jupiter's icy moon. As the Defiant broke orbit, Sarah couldn't shake a feeling of unease. "Nakamura, keep our sensors at maximum range. I don't want any surprises." But surprises were exactly what they got. Halfway to Jupiter, alarms blared across the bridge. Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka's voice was tense as she reported, "Captain, we've got multiple Imperial signatures closing fast. They must have been waiting for us." Sarah's mind raced. They couldn't outrun the Imperial ships, and a direct confrontation could jeopardize their mission. Then, an idea struck her. "Helm, Set a course for the asteroid belt, she ordered. Zoe, I need you to modify our shield frequencies. We're going to play a little game of hide and seek. As the Defiant weaved through the dense field of asteroids, its modified shields allowed it to blend in with the surrounding rocks. The Imperial ships, their sensors confused by the abundance of targets, began firing indiscriminately. Sarah watched the chaos unfold on her view screen. Now, Mr. Nakamura, target their weapon systems. The Defiant decloaked just long enough to fire precise shots at the Imperial ships, disabling their main weapons before vanishing again among the asteroids. One by one, the frustrated Imperial captains were forced to retreat, leaving the path to Europa clear. As they approached the icy moon, Dr. Patel turned to Sarah, her eyes wide with admiration. That was incredible, Captain. I've never seen anyone outmaneuver the Empire like that. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. It's not about having the biggest guns, Doctor. It's about using what you have creatively. She paused, looking out at the stars. That's the real strength of humanity. We adapt, we innovate, and we never, ever give up. As the Defiant descended towards Europa's hidden base, both Sarah and Maya knew that the next phase of the war was about to begin. The Empire had underestimated humanity for the last time. Now, it was humanity's turn to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. The secret base on Europa buzzed with activity. For weeks, Dr. Maya Patel and her team had worked tirelessly on their new weapon. Captain Sarah Chen and the crew of the Defiant stood guard, fending off occasional Imperial probing attacks. Finally, the day arrived. Maya burst into the Defiant's bridge, her eyes shining with excitement. It's ready, she announced breathlessly. We've done it. Sarah leaned forward in her chair. You're sure it works? Maya nodded confidently. We've run every simulation possible. This energy drainer can disable an Imperial dreadnought in minutes. Before Sarah could respond, alarms blared across the ship. Lieutenant Tanaka's voice was urgent. Captain, long-range sensors are picking up a massive Imperial fleet. They're on a direct course for Earth. Sarah's face hardened. This is it, then. The Empire's going all in. She turned to Maya. Looks like we'll be field testing your invention sooner than we thought, Doctor. As the Defiant raced back to Earth, the planet's defenses scrambled to meet the threat. Every ship, from mighty battlecruisers to hastily armed freighters, moved into position. This would be the battle that decided humanity's fate. Admiral Zax Lawrence stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Immortal Emperor. The massive ship dwarfed even the largest human vessels. This ends today, he growled. Prepare to fire the planet-killer weapon. But as the Imperial fleet entered the solar system, they found a surprise waiting for them. The asteroid belt had been turned into a minefield, each rock equipped with energy-absorbing technology. As the Imperial ships tried to navigate through, explosions rocked their formation. Sarah's voice crackled over the Earth fleet's comm system. All ships, this is Captain Chen. Remember your training. Use the asteroids for cover, hit, and run. We just need to buy enough time for our secret weapon. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships darted between asteroids, unleashing precise strikes before disappearing again. Imperial ships, their energy weapons largely useless, resorted to old-fashioned projectiles, filling space with deadly shrapnel. Aboard the Defiant, Sarah barked orders as the ship shuddered under enemy fire. Nakamura, target the Immortal Emperor's main power conduits. Zoe, I need more power to the shields. The Defiant weaved through the chaos, its advanced shields flickering as they absorbed and redirected energy. They were battered, but still fighting. On Earth, General Rodriguez watched the battle unfold with growing concern. We're holding our own, she muttered, but we can't keep this up forever. That's when Maya's voice came through on a secure channel. General, the weapon is ready. But there's a catch. We need to get it close to the enemy flagship. Really close. Rodriguez's eyes narrowed. That's practically a suicide mission. There was a pause before Sarah's voice joined the conversation. The Defiant will do it. For a moment, silence reigned. Then Rodriguez spoke, her voice heavy. Godspeed, Captain Chen. The hopes of humanity go with you. The Defiant broke away from the main battle, streaking towards the massive form of the immortal Emperor. Imperial ships moved to intercept, but Earth's fleet closed ranks, buying the Defiant the time it needed. We're in range, Nakamura shouted as the Defiant shuddered under the flagship's barrage. Sarah's voice was steady as she gave the order. Activate the energy drainer. Full power. A beam of crackling energy shot out from the Defiant, connecting it to the Imperial flagship. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly at first, but with gathering speed, the lights on the immortal Emperor began to dim. On the Imperial bridge, panic set in. What's happening? Zax Lauren bellowed as consoles went dark around him. The Defiant held its position, pouring all its power into Maya's invention. Warning lights flashed across its bridge as systems began to overload. We can't hold this for much longer, Captain, Zoe warned, her hands flying over her console to reroute power. Sarah gritted her teeth. Just a little more. We're almost there. Suddenly, the immortal Emperor's engines sputtered and died. Its weapons fell silent. The mightiest ship in the Imperial fleet drifted helplessly in space. A cheer went up across the Earth fleet as they saw their opening. Ships swarmed the now vulnerable Imperial fleet, their energy-absorbing shields rendering them nearly invincible to energy weapons. As the tide of battle turned decisively in Earth's favor, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, mocked, and underestimated. But in the end, their creativity, their adaptability, and their sheer determination had won the day. The battle wasn't over, but its outcome was no longer in doubt. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The dust of battle slowly settled across the solar system. Debris from both human and Imperial ships drifted silently through space, a somber reminder of the cost of victory. But Earth had won. Against all odds, humanity had stood up to the mighty Galactic Empire and emerged triumphant. Aboard the battered but still functioning Defiant, Captain Sarah Chen looked out at the stars. Her ship, once mocked as outdated, had played a crucial role in turning the tide. She felt a mix of pride, relief, and sadness for those lost in the fight. Captain, Lieutenant Nakamura called out, his voice filled with awe. You need to see this. Sarah turned to the main view screen. Across the galaxy, reports were flooding in. News of Earth's victory had spread like wildfire, inspiring other subjugated species to rise up against Imperial rule. The once mighty empire was crumbling from within. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted in every city. People poured into the streets, cheering, crying, and embracing one another. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and hadn't just survived. They had thrived. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy underwent a rapid transformation. The immortal Emperor, his ship disabled and his fleet in tatters, was forced to sue for peace. Sarah Chen, now hailed as a hero, led the Earth delegation to the peace talks. As she stood before the Emperor, Sarah couldn't help but remember how the Empire had once sneered at humanity's primitive technology. Now that same Empire was requesting access to Earth's energy absorption breakthroughs. The galaxy has changed, Sarah said, her voice firm. The days of Imperial rule are over. We propose a new galactic council where all species have an equal voice. The Emperor, his once mighty form now diminished, had no choice but to agree. The age of human defiance had given birth to an era of galactic cooperation. Dr. Maya Patel's energy-draining technology, which had won the war, now found peaceful applications. It revolutionized power generation across the galaxy, ushering in an unprecedented period of technological advancement. General Elena Rodriguez, who had overseen Earth's defense, became humanity's first representative on the new Galactic Council. Her steady leadership helped guide the galaxy through its turbulent transition. But perhaps the most profound changes were happening on a smaller scale. Across the galaxy, humans were now welcomed as equals. Their creativity, adaptability, and indomitable spirit had earned them the respect of countless alien species. On a distant space station, a young human engineer worked side by side with a former Imperial technician, combining their knowledge to build something new. In diplomatic halls, human negotiators brought fresh perspectives to age-old conflicts. On frontier worlds, human settlers worked with local species, learning from each other and forging new hybrid cultures. The crew of the Defiant, honored for their pivotal role in the war, chose to continue exploring the galaxy. But now, instead of fleeing from Imperial patrols, they led diplomatic missions, made first contact with new species, and helped spread the ideals of cooperation that Earth now championed. As for Admiral Zaxlorin, the once proud Imperial commander found himself facing a military tribunal. But in a show of the new spirit of reconciliation, his judges included both humans and members of species formerly subjugated by the Empire. His fate would be decided not by vengeance, but by justice. 5 years after the Great Battle, Captain Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of Earth's first faster-than-light ship to the Unity. As she prepared to lead a mission of exploration to the farthest reaches of the galaxy, she reflected on how far humanity had come. From a species dismissed as primitive, humans had risen to become key players in galactic affairs. Their unique blend of ingenuity, determination, and adaptability had not only saved them from Imperial rule, but had reshaped the galaxy into a more equal, cooperative society. As the Unity prepared for its maiden voyage, Sarah smiled at her diverse crew. Humans working alongside members of a dozen alien species, including some former Imperial citizens. This, she thought, was the true victory. Not just survival, but the creation of something better. Captain, her new first officer, a young Andromedian, called out, "We're ready for departure." Sarah nodded, feeling a familiar thrill of excitement. "Then let's see what's out there," she said. Together. As the Unity streaked into the unknown, it carried with it the hopes and dreams of not just humanity, but of a united galaxy. The story of human defiance had become a legend, a reminder to all species that with determination, creativity, and cooperation, even the greatest odds could be overcome. The stars beckoned, and humanity, no longer alone and no longer underestimated, was ready to answer the call.